Good morning, everybody. It's Patrick Lee, your host. It's time for Midweek Motivation Live, coming at you live from Studio One. Uh, Studio One. Some of you may recognize this. This is my home office, Studio One, broadcasting from there today. I've got my Ted DiBiase autograph picture behind me. The $1 Million Man. He's saying, Patrick Lee. Get up and motivate some people today. I hope you are doing well. It is time for the show, Midweek Motivation Live. People already tuning in. We are live locally and around the world. You know how we are. Let's get our background, our layover on there. Patrick Lee, motivating you to success in every area of life. People tuning in. There's Cody, Studio One in the house, brother. I will see you later today for lunch. Cody Blair, my great friend, owner of Fire Slice, not sponsored by Fire Slice Coffee, but or Fire Slice Pizza. I probably should be. Fire Slice Pizza, Brick Oven Pizzeria, and one of Amarillo's hidden gems, best pizza in town. Good coffee. Got my coffee with me. Got my morning kick with me. Drinking my Chuck Norris. Hi-ya. Good stuff, full of vitamins, minerals, collagen. I've got my Stellar with me today. Today's Midweek Motivation Live brought to you by Stellar CBD Health and Wellness Products. Elevate your wellness with Stellar. Perhaps you lack sleep, inspiration, motivation. You have pets that are nervous and they need help. Stellar, if you go to www, I'm going to get this out of the way real fast. Go to getstellar.com. My goodness gracious, good Lord Jesus. This is the Energy and Focus Mushroom Gummy full of lion's mane, ginseng, B12, all kinds of good stuff there. This is the THCV gel cap. This is an appetite suppressant. It looks like a vitamin E capsule. It's amazing. Helps you to keep your appetite under control. Getstellar.com. If you use my code Patrick20, you'll get 20% off all future orders of Stellar. Amazing products from amazing people. These are all sourced from totally clean products in the Pacific Northwest, where I happen to be from. Great company, great products. Hello, Miss Jackie. Good to see you on the show again as well, my sister. Good to see you today. Today's show, only you can make it happen here on Midweek Motivation Live, now on all major podcast platforms. Wherever you go to consume your podcast content, you can find Midweek Motivation Live with Patrick Lee, and on the Midweek Motivation Live YouTube channel as well. Be sure to click on the bell, subscribe to the channel, get notifications, and you'll see all of our shows and shorts on YouTube as well. Let's dive into our topic today. No one is coming to save you. What, Patrick? That sounds harsh. Only you can make your life happen. You need to get up and build it. That really is the topic today. Today's show, this is all about faith, motivation, finances, everything. Today's going to be more motivation driven. Some of us need a swift kick in the rear. I have been one of those lately, and I believe this with all of my heart. We can collaborate. We can do podcasts. We can do interviews. We can do so many things, reach out to so many different programs, hoping for somebody to come along with a secret answer, a magic trick, the magic beans to grow the beanstalk so you can get up to the giant's kingdom and get all the riches. But this really comes down to, when the rubber meets the road, is it's up to us to make our life happen. Yes, faith is a part of that. Yes, we're going to pray to God and he's going to bless our life as we sow into his kingdom. He's going to sow into ours, but we have to do the work. We truly have to. I need you to hear me today. If you're waiting for someone to rescue you, if you think help is coming from some other person and they can fix everything in your life, you need to hear this. You're wrong. No one is coming to save you. And I'm not trying to sound harsh. I'm not trying to sound mean. I'm trying to wake you up from complacency. That's the truth. And once we accept it, we're free to stop waiting and start building. And that's the motivation behind the show today. It's just motivation in and of itself. I've told you this forever. The show is called Midweek Motivation Live. You need a live kick in the rear to get through past hump day and to make us get out there and take action. Be responsible for our own saving, right? In this world, I'm not talking about your salvation. Hear me today. Once we accept that, we're free to stop waiting around and start building our life, the life that God has called us to live. This is your moment today, your wake up call to shift from powerless to powerful. I believe that in all of you, not by hoping, not by wishing, not by just dreaming about it, but by choosing it. So let's get into it today. Good morning, Miss Gina, as well. Happy Wednesday to you, my dear friend. Point number one, no one owes us anything. Here's the hard truth most people avoid hearing. No one wants to hear this, right? No one owes you a shot. No one owes you a chance, not the government, not your boss, not your parents, certainly not your parents. Your parents raise you as good as they can until you're an adult, and then you're on your own. I moved out when I was 17, not because I didn't like my family. I loved my family, but I wanted to be my own man. Did I ever come back home? I think I did move back home when I was 18 and a half for a week. For a week while I was in transition. And a friend came and we crashed back at my mom and dad's house. And then I was out on my own. And then I moved to Texas at 19 and a half or 20 years old. And I have been here ever since. I never went home other than vacations and family visits, weddings and funerals. And I made a life for myself here. I didn't wait for someone else to make it for me, to come save me, to tell me what to do. You know what I mean? Your parents did the best they can to help you to become an adult. And that's the end of where their responsibility lies, right? You might have been born behind the starting line. You might have felt that you are less than. You might have thought that you didn't have the best upbringing, but that's really something that's in the past. We're going to talk about that later in the show. Listen, there are so many things that the world you claim has done to you. I believe it's all been done for you. But listen, the world doesn't reward excuses. The world doesn't reward what could have been. The world doesn't reward people that failed to plan and failed at life. The world rewards the people that actually go out and take action, not that have potential for action, but the people that actually go out and take action. It rewards action. Life might have hit you hard. You might have been born, like I said, feeling like you were less than, but sitting in that reality won't move you forward. Waiting to be discovered, waiting to be picked to play dodgeball. How many of you were ever last to be picked to play dodgeball? When I was in high school, good Lord, I weighed 93 pounds when I was a freshman in high school. Okay. I was 12 years old and I started the ninth grade at 12 years old. And I was usually the last guy picked for every sport because I was so little. I was not big and athletic. It ended up becoming advantageous to me when my friends forced me to join the wrestling team because they needed a lightweight. If they had a lightweight and we could field someone in that weight class, then the team wouldn't have to forfeit that weight class and we would lose 3 points. So they put me in, they made me join the team and they toughened me up. And I wrestled at 93 pounds my freshman year. I got the team a lot of points by forfeit of other teams, but I won some matches and I varsity lettered. So I can't just say, well, this was my story. I was less than, I was smaller than, I had less money. I can't sit in that reality. It will not move me forward, right? I was the last to be picked. Some of you were too. Pete, you were probably one of the last to be picked for some things when you were a kid. And that's okay, right? We all grow up and we get over it. Sitting in that reality will not move the needle. Waiting, like I said, to be picked, waiting to be promoted on your job, that's going to keep you stuck in a bad attitude. And when you think that you're entitled to something, that's a trap. Anytime we have that mindset of they owe me something, every day we spend waiting on that, it's a day that we're not building ourselves up. You want a better future? Create it yourself. That's the show today, man. Create it yourself. Create a better future. You don't need a handout. You need ownership of where you are. You don't need applause because you tried. You need endurance. You need grit. You need to toughen up. Nobody's showing up with the keys to your dream. You have to build your dream, maybe from scratch, maybe through collaboration. Yes. But at the end of the day, it's your responsibility. You have to build it with grit, with sweat, with determination, and a relentless refusal to quit. What Pete says, yes, but I was quicker. Well, there you go. That was the benefit. Once I did get picked for dodgeball, I may not be able to hit people really hard, but I was very fast and agile, and it was easy for me to avoid getting hit. So a lot of times we would win because I was the last guy who hadn't been hit. So sometimes there's an advantage to being small. Good point, Pete. You have to build it from scratch. Like I said, you have to have grit. You have to have determination. You have to sweat it out. And you absolutely have to refuse to quit. Point number 2, your story isn't your excuse. I used to think that mine was, right? And I've shared some of it with you. Your story is in your past. It's not your excuse for why you can't have a good future. Listen, we've been through some things, real things, painful things, hard things. You might have grown up with trauma, with rejection, with loss, or major failure, catastrophic failure in your life, in your business, in your marriage, other relationships. That's your story, and it's valid. But while it's valid, it's not your excuse to quit, to sit down and stop and say, life isn't fair to me. Your past explains maybe who you were, but it doesn't define who you are or who you will be. You've got 2 options. Use your story as fuel, or let it become the cage you live in, the prison, the self-imposed prison you choose to let imprison you for the rest of your life. Do you want to be pitied? I don't covet anyone's pity, right? I don't covet their praise either, but I certainly don't covet their pity. I want people to say there's a person that picked themselves up by the bootstraps and they became successful because they chose to be, right? So you can either choose to live in that cage or live in that self-imposed prison, or you can go out and do what you know you should do. You can't have it both ways. You either live in the pity, live in the prison, or you go out and make the future, right? You can't have both. Life doesn't slow down to give you time to heal when you've been hurt. You've got to pick yourself up and move on. You have to rise in the middle of that mess, in the middle of that pain, in the middle of that hurt, and start creating a different narrative, a different mindset, a different confession of who you are in life and in Christ, right? You just have to do that. Thank you, Jackie. She says, so true. Absolutely. I think that Jackie is a tenacious young lady. And I believe you've had to do this in your own life, Jackie. I believe that about you, right? You have to rise in the middle of the mess. You have to start creating a different future. What happened to you may not be your fault. And you could try to blame others. But what you have to do is decide what happens next. That is 100% on you and me. Use the pain. Don't abuse the pain. Don't let the pain use you. You have to use that pain to pick yourself up and move forward. Don't let it slow you down. Point number 3, discipline over emotion. Discipline eats emotion before breakfast. A lot of people say that it eats emotion for breakfast. I think discipline eats emotion before breakfast. What you do, the disciplines you create for yourself when you wake up, when your eyes open in the morning. My eyes opened this morning at 3:30, and I thought, good Lord, why? 3:30, my eyes opened. Yes, I tried to lay down and go back to sleep. I may have dozed off for another 15 minutes around 4 o'clock. But when your eyes open, what you do when you wake up determines how the rest of your day is going to go, right? Here's the truth. Most motivational gurus won't tell you this. Motivation is garbage if it's not backed by discipline. I don't want to call this midweek discipline live. I want you to be motivated. Listen, I want you to be motivated. But listen, discipline beats motivation anytime if your motivation isn't backed up by it, right? Motivation is garbage. It's not worth anything if you don't have the discipline to live out what you're motivated for. You won't always feel inspired. I've done whole shows on that. Motivation beats inspiration, but perspiration beats inspiration and motivation when you do the work, right? That's a whole show we've done in the past. You won't always be in the mood to be active, to follow through with your discipline. Your feelings are unreliable. One minute, they're lifting you up, telling you you are motivated, but then the next minute, you're down in the dumps, right? So if you build your life based around all of these emotions, you're going to build inconsistency. And all of these stepping stones need to be lifting you to the next level. But if you allow these emotions to be what you build your life on, those stepping stones are going to go up and down. And sometimes you'll be climbing that hill and have a high moment, and then you'll start taking 2 or 3 steps back. You don't want that. Certainly not, right? Feelings are unreliable. They're fleeting. If you build your life based on emotions, you'll never reach the level you intend to reach. Discipline is the difference. Discipline shows up even when your feelings don't feel like it. Sometimes our feelings tell us stay in bed. Yesterday was a hard day. People were mean to me. My employees suck. My boss didn't appreciate me. Whatever that is, you lost a big sale. I've had people go under contract and terminate contracts so many times in the last couple of months. But if I tell myself, well, that maybe that wasn't a good deal for them, and my fiduciary duty, my duty to my clients is for them to get the best deal on the best property for them. And do I get my feelings hurt when we decide that's not the right house? No, we flush that one and we say, next, let's go on. This one, we thought this was a good one, but it wasn't perfect. Let's go on and find a better one. If I just quit and said, okay, 12 years in real estate, and I, a couple of people have terminated on these deals, was it my deal? No. Did I lose a paycheck? Yes. But do I do real estate for my paycheck, or is my goal to help my client achieve the best deal? That's my goal. And when I've done my job right and I help my client achieve the joy, the blessing, the benefit of home ownership, that's when the reward comes. When I help that seller sell that home that they need to sell to recoup their money, their bank account. That's when my job is done. And that's when the reward comes. And it's the discipline to pick yourself up, not live in that old story of what's happened, and use that story to move you forward and say, okay, let's revisit my goals. What is the end game here? Right? We always need to see the way out, the end game, when we start at the beginning. And discipline is what helps us to do that. Discipline is the difference. Discipline shows up even when your feelings don't show up. When you had a bad day, it gets you out of bed when your body says, let's hit snooze. I'm not feeling it today. It works out when your mind says, skip the workout. Discipline executes when your emotions scream, quit. My emotions have been all over the board lately over a lot of different things: family, life, relationships, finances, all of it, right? I'm 61 years old. I should be a lot farther down the road in life than I am. So should you. And that's why I'm here today. I always choose to pick myself up, dust myself off, and start all over again, right? And maybe we've gone back a few notches, but we don't stay there. We get up and we move forward. That's what winners do. The most successful people in any field aren't the most talented or the most gifted or have the best friends. They're the most disciplined and the most consistent. If you want power, choose structure. If you want wealth, choose systems, right? That's what disciplined people do. Build habits that don't care how you feel, that aren't based on emotion, because growth lives on the other side of, I don't feel like it. Cody says sometimes we all need our butts kicked. Yes, we do. That's why I'm here today. This is your midweek butt kicking. Midweek butt kicking live with Patrick Lee. Point number 4, comfort is the real enemy. It's not your friends. It's not your boss. It's not your past failures. The biggest enemy we have right now is comfort. Most people never reach their potential, not because they're lazy, but because they're addicted to comfort. They're addicted to the recliner, to the easy chair, to TV, to Netflix, binging shows and series. Comfort is seductive. It tells you to sit down when you know you have things to do. It tells you you're okay when you're eating all those extra cookies and you know where you're when you're trying to lose weight. It tells you you're okay right where you are. If everyone doesn't love me the way I am, well, that's their problem, not my problem, right? That is a mindset that will lead you to failure. It tells you you've earned the right to just coast for a while. You've worked hard. You just need to take a break, man. Slow down, slack off, be a slug for a couple of days. Comfort, however, is a liar. It's the silent killer of our dreams. It's the silent killer of our discipline, our goals. They live outside of our comfort zone. That's the motto at the end of the show every week, right? Courage lives at the end of your comfort zone. Your next level is surrounded by resistance. Your next level is surrounded by comfortable spaces. Your next level is surrounded by people who tell you to slow down. The minute you start listening to those, that's when you start slowing down. The minute you start avoiding discomfort, you stop evolving. You start slacking off. Want to know who grows? The ones who lean into discomfort. I'm preaching it myself today. I hope y'all are getting this. Yes, Jackie says discipline makes you stronger in so many aspects. Amen. Successful people live outside of their comfort zone. They just do. You have to learn to lean into discomfort, not run from it. The gym hurts. Pushing away from the table sometimes hurts. Not having that dessert, not having that peach cake for lunch. I want some peach cake today. Good Lord. But those things, those disciplines, they pay off in the end, right? Relationships require us being able to be honest with each other and say when we can do things and when we can't. And relationship also requires us to be vulnerable with those people and say, you know me, you know what I'm trying to do, and this is where my discipline is leading me. And I expect you to support me in that. And you're true, you're real people. That's where they meet you at. And then that's where your transformation happens. You weren't built for a life of numbing yourself down and just scrolling on social media. You were built for more than that. You were built to build things. You were built to build a better life for you and your family. Get uncomfortable. Get outside of that comfort zone. Stay uncomfortable. When you learn to become comfortable with being uncomfortable, that's when growth happens. That's when change is born. And then point number 5 today. I'm not like a Baptist preacher. They always have 3 points in a poem. I've gotten into this habit of it bringing you at least 5. It used to be 4. I started doing one more, and then I moved up to 5, and I'm liking 5. Maybe we're going to move up and start doing the power of one more, and maybe next week will be 6 points. But point number 5 today: the world makes room for the relentless. The world makes room for the driven. I thought relentless might have been too strong of a word for some of y'all. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was right. So I changed the word to driven. I think that driven is a great word. You don't have to be the smartest, the fastest, or the most connected. You just have to be the one who refuses to quit, the one who refuses to go away, the one who keeps asking the hard questions until you get the answer. The world respects relentless people. I had a boss years ago. His name was Carl, and that's all I'm going to tell you. I had a boss named Carl. Carl was a little man, had frizzy hair and freckles. And I was a salesperson for Carl. And Carl I used to say he was like a ferret on crack. He just, as small of a man as he was quiet, but he just kept asking. And when someone would say no, I would be in a sales meeting with him, and he'd be talking with the president or the leader of a department of this company. And they would give him a no, and they would turn him down, and he would rephrase the question and ask it again. And I learned from Carl. He was relentless because he had a goal. He had an end game that he needed to achieve. And the more times he got a no, it almost became like a game for him. And he would just rephrase the question. Okay, let me reframe this. If I could do this for you, wouldn't you appreciate this benefit? And after a while, these people would start smiling and they're like, dude, you've worn me down. Just place the order. And Carl would smile and say, thank you. And we would leave and he would look at me and smile and say, that's how you sell. It was crazy because he was small, but he just never quit. It's like chipping away at a rock, a chip after chip after chip. And eventually you break the rock. The world respects people like that. Not because they're the spam caller who just has a dialer and they just keep calling millions of people until someone answers, but because when you have a goal and two people get together, right? When two people get together and you're negotiating something and you may both have the same end game. You both know you need the product or you want to sell them the product, whatever it is, but they seem to be resistant. They're really just not being asked the right question, or they just don't see the benefit. So if you keep reframing it, rephrasing it, continuing to show them a new aspect or a new facet of the diamond, which is the end game, then they start to see it. And if you continue to be persistent that way, relentless, tenacious, I love that word as well, tenacious, then you end up getting what you want. The ones who keep showing up, keep asking the questions, keep refusing to quit, those are the ones that outlast the noise, that outlast the quitters, that outlast the people that got one phone call rejection and they just say, this isn't for me, right? You're going to outlast those people. And while you may feel like you are invisible while you are doing that no one appreciates it when you show up, and just behind the scenes, you continue to work. The people that know. Those are the people that see you when you feel unseen. You might feel like you're overlooked. You might be underpaid, but you also might be underestimated. If you keep moving, keep evolving, keep learning, keep building yourself in the background, keep growing, eventually the world will have no choice but to notice you when you start winning, consistently winning in front of the people that previously ignored you. Consistency compounds. What do you mean, Patrick Lee? Ed Milet calls it compound pounding. The more you pound away at that rock, the more those chips, those blows affect that rock, right? And the more you do that, he calls it compound pounding. Consistency compounds. The more times you show up consistently, the more you increase in knowledge, the more you increase in tenacity, the more you increase in determination. Your slack days, those habits, those actions will slow you down. But the days that you don't slack off, the days that you do show up, that you do put in the work, those are the days that start building your momentum. And momentum eventually becomes unstoppable. The marketplace doesn't reward the perfect or the most polished. It rewards the persistent. You want your place in this world, you're going to have to take it. You're going to have to build it yourself. No one's coming to save you. Demand it by becoming undeniably tenacious, because the relentless always rises to the top. Peter says 7 points, P. Lee. That's 7 points in a poem. Well, no poems today. I'm off my soapbox. Let me give you my final thoughts on this. Let me make this clear. Let me be very clear. You're the captain of your own rescue mission. You don't need a better economy. You don't need someone to discover your mixtape. You don't need perfect circumstances. What you need is this decision. It's time for you to draw a line in the sand and say, this is who I intend to be. This is the end game that I have, the goal, the finish line that I have set for myself. And it's up to me to make it there, right? That's what you need. The line in the sand, a no more excuses moment. You need to get up, build what you're building anyway. When you don't feel good, build it anyway. When you don't feel like getting out of bed, get up anyway. Hustle. Hustle is a culture that a lot of people misuse the term hustle culture, being on the grind. And we've talked about that in the past, true. But listen, no matter what's going on, even if you don't know for sure exactly how you're going to get to the finish line, get up and hustle anyway. Get up and hustle with a broken plan. With I like to watch Guardians of the Galaxy. There's a scene in Guardians of the Galaxy where they're trying to come up with a plan, and Star Lord says, "I've got a plan," and they start asking him, "Well, how much of a plan?" Like 50% of a plan, 80% of a plan, and he says, "It's about 12% of a plan," and they're like, 12%? That's not a plan. He goes, "It's more of a plan than you have." 12% of a plan will get you a lot further down the road than no plan or no hustle or no drive or no determination, right? Hustle with your broken plan and grow your plan on the way if you have to. Crawl if you can't walk. Walk if you can't run. This is life. This is America. It's the land of opportunity, the home of the free, and the home of the brave. But listen, no one's coming to give you anything. It's up to us to build a life for ourselves, for our families. And that's it today. You are the captain of your own rescue mission. It's up to you to get up and build it. It's up to me to get up and build it. This is our life. No one's going to come and do it for us. That's where we're at today. I love you guys. I hope this has given you the kick in the rear that you've needed. I know it has me. I've enjoyed sharing this with you today. I build myself up when I start sharing these things with you. I truly do. Like I said, every time I'm teaching these things, I'm teaching it for myself, and I'm glad that you guys get something out of it too. Listen, go out there and be courageous today. Courage begins at the end of your comfort zone, right? That's our motto here. Go out there and be a little uncomfortable. Be courageous. Share this message with someone else that you love. Maybe someone else is down in the dumps. They're suffering from a lack of motivation, and they need to learn how to hustle. They need to take responsibility for where they are and pick themselves back up and go out and create their future. That's the goal of the show today. Like I said, I appreciate you coming back each and every week. Like, love, share the show with a friend. And we are done for today. I will see you next week. It's going to be too long before I see you again, but I do appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.